In this video, we'll go over how to configure your payroll settings for overtime calculations and meal break calculations. So let's go ahead and click on our company name on the left-hand navigation menu, and we'll select Payroll Settings. From here, click on the pencil icon next to Company Payroll. You can give this a custom name if you need to. Leave the box checked for set its default rule. Override meal payment. By default, meals will count as negative time over the course of a day, which means they're unpaid. If you need to have the ability or flexibility to change those meal breaks to paid occasionally, you can check this box. Most people will not need this. Next, we have shifts to be split based on, and there are two options: date of punch-in or custom workday. If you don't have workers who work overnight, this isn't going to really impact you. This will be for companies specifically who have workers who work across the midnight hour. So, to give you an example of how this would work, you can take a look at the spreadsheet. Let's say that you have an employee that works from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. With a custom workday, the shift will break in two at midnight, which would give the employee two different shifts of 7 p.m. to 12 a.m. and 12 a.m. to 7 a.m. The other option is for all time to be counted towards the day the employee clocked in. So it would be a single shift of 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So again, here we have a 5-hour shift and a 7-hour shift across 2 different days. And here we have a 12-hour shift, and overtime will be configured accordingly. So make sure you choose the correct setting for your organization. We can click here on overtime rules to configure our custom overtime settings. By default, we have 40 hours for weekly, which should be appropriate in most situations in most states. However, if yours differs, then you can change this value to whatever you need, or even disable overtime rules altogether. For work week start day, go ahead and select the day your organization's work week starts. This will typically either be a Sunday or Monday, or if you pay every 2 weeks and it happens to start in the middle of a week, this could be like a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, or whatever is appropriate, but you should know this information. If you're in a state that has daily overtime or double overtime, go ahead and check the box to allow yourself to edit these additional fields and change as necessary to reflect your state's laws. In California, you'll want to go ahead and turn on the California 7-day rule, which just means that if an employee works 7 consecutive days within the same work week, that on the 7th day, every hour is counted as overtime up until the 8th hour, and every hour after that is counted as double time automatically. You can check this box to send an alert to your mobile app users, letting them know they are working their 7th consecutive day, if you would like to. Finally, we have our meal break preferences. Go ahead and click on this pencil icon to edit these. If your meal breaks are paid, check the box for paid meal break. If they happen to be paid, you also need to decide whether those paid meals will be counted towards regular overtime and double time accruals or not. You should also know whether that is true for your company. Meal break duration determines how long an employee will be locked out from resuming work after they've initiated a meal break. You can change this value to 0 if you don't need to lock employees out for a meal break. These settings are for states that have penalties for meal infractions. So for example, in the state of California, the employee has to start their meal break before the start of the 5th hour of work, unless they work fewer than 6 hours for the day. And that is what these settings are for. So you can configure them as appropriately, and the system will flag any shift where an employee takes a meal break that starts after the 5th hour or has no meal break whatsoever and works over 6 hours. We can also set up meal notifications for the mobile app. If you would like these on, you can send out a reminder to an employee to start their meal break. And here we would enter how many hours into the shift that we would like that alert to go out. You can also send them a second reminder to encourage them to go ahead and end their meal break in a timely fashion. And for this field, we'll put in how many minutes after they start their meal breaks we want that reminder to go out. Finally, if you have a need for your employees to have an automatic end to their meal break for whatever reason, that is possible as well. You can check this box and have meals automatically end. And once everything looks good, we can go ahead and click submit to save our payroll settings.